What is up, Rumble? What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Ryan Matta Show. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, folks. Bitcoin is pushing back above 68,500. Are we en route to 100K? Maybe, just maybe. Do me a huge favor, folks. Smash that like button. We're going to dive deep into a lot of things tonight. We're going to talk about the U.S. government could be selling off that $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. We're going to get into what they call Nostradamus, but it's just short, just Nostra. And it's this application. So it's funny. I don't know if you guys follow the Daddy Twins over on X. And we were talking today and what's going on with TikTok. Like TikTok is toast, man. Like the censorship that has taken place on TikTok. Like you thought it was bad before. Whoo. Don't. I mean, people are like, I'm done using the app. Completely done. Like these people have been working for years to build up these accounts to generate a second stream of income or generate some passive income to kind of keep their head above water in America. And thanks to our fantastic government, right? They got to censor it. But what is Nostra? Nostra, I think, is the future of social media. Picture Bitcoin, but of social media. So you have the ability to set up basically your own node. And on your node, you store your social media. So there's no way to deplatform you as long as your node's online, right? And then you can also, like if say like Rumble Rick's in the live chat right now, say Rumble Rick decided he wanted to build his own little node, right? And run it on a Raspberry Pi. Well, your node can host other people's pages, right? So for some reason, if I wanted to decentralize my social network, right, you could pay people a few sats, a couple dollars a month to host yours. You can run your own node and host yours. But think of it like Morpheus or like Napster, like when we used to download music illegally back in the day when we were kids. Like the government couldn't shut it down because as long as one torrent or one server was up and running, like you could download any music that person had. And then when you were downloading music, you had to let people download all of your music, right? So it's going to change how social media is done. It might not take off right away, but with this censorship, right? I mean, Bitcoin took 15 years and then boom, it took off, right? I think that we're looking at the future of social media is going to move away from these centralized platforms where they have the ability to control or silence you. And imagine being able to build a following of millions and millions of followers and being able to keep them forever. No matter what platform you go to, no matter where you run, there's no way that the government can silence you. So I think that's pretty cool. Let's jump over the charts. Let's throw on a little jams. Actually, let's dive into some clips here first. Then we'll get into all things Bitcoin. I want to throw this clip on Michael Saylor on here in a second. Vivek for real. If you guys aren't following this man over on X, he's always tweeting out some good stuff. So he says, if you are going to invest in Bitcoin, a short-term horizon is 4 years, a mid-term horizon is 10 years. The right time horizon is forever. Let me know what you guys think.
This is a 30-year chart of returns on the S&P index. And this chart tells you that if you missed one day, there's one day every year when 85%, 90% of all of the gains come. One day. And there are 36 hours a year when all investment return takes place. So in 365 days, nothing happens 99.5% of the time. This is why we have the laser eyes. This is why we say hodl. Because, and I have said before, trading Bitcoin is a sign of lesser intellect.
I couldn't agree more on that one. Trading Bitcoin is a sign of lesser intellect. What do you guys think about that? Or is Michael Saylor spitting some facts over here? It's pretty crazy how everybody's outlook's changing, including my own, on Bitcoin, what we thought Bitcoin was, what we thought it represented. Give me 1 second. I'll pull up the live chat here in a second. I just got it cropped off center for some reason. And it's so crazy watching Hernando. Good to see you, my man. I was waiting for Hernando to get in here. We're going to get into Nostra. I was telling him about it. I was talking about it earlier. And I'm going to show you guys that video. We'll get into that here. Let's dive into this article first, then we'll get right into Nostra. And I can actually screw it. Let's just do it right now. Let me make sure I got it in the program here. I should. I do. Give me 1 second. We'll just jump into that right now. Since Hernando's here. Since Hernando RC's in the live chat. Folks, you guys are not following Hernando RC. This man is an absolute legend. He's a investigative journalist, citizen journalist, as he likes to call himself. And he's down in Texas, bringing you guys all the stories of your replacements, as we call them. your friends from another country. check this out. So what is Nostra? Kevin Roke put out this video over on YouTube. So if you guys aren't following Kevin Roke, you guys want to learn more about it, swing over there and give this man a follow. I'm just going to let this video play for a little bit so you guys get an idea what this software is.
Let's talk about Nostra, or Nostr, or however you pronounce it. It's Nostr for those who are unfamiliar. Can you explain, maybe at a high level, what is Nostra?
Yeah, so I call it Nostra because I have an app called Damus, so Nostradamus. Anyway, but some people call it Nostra. So Nostra was an attempt. It was written by this guy named Fiat Jaff. He also obviously involved in the Elenial spec. So a lot of Bitcoiners just happen to be in the space just because, Fiat Jaff made it. But it's not a Bitcoin project. It's not a Lightning project. It's a distinct protocol. And it was Fiat Jaff's attempt at making the simplest possible censorship-resistant Twitter alternative that's like a global social network. So there was attempts at this in the past. So one was called Mastodon, which uses the activity protocol. And there's been other activity pub implementations. But that one, and I used it for a while. I used it for a couple of years. It's like, but it had a very big issue, which was when you join these, you had to join like a server, and this server, was your community, right? So you would join a server, and then, oh, look, we have this and this server could talk to other servers, and it was this federated model where you could send messages between servers, and it's like, this is great. We're decentralizing Twitter, but it had a really bad issue where it just each of these communities turned into like dictatorships, and they all hated each other, and if you said one wrong thing, the server admin would just ban you off the server, and then you'd have to like go through this awkward process of like moving all your followers to a new instance, and hopefully you wouldn't anger that admin, and he would ban you. It turned out to be like less censorship resistant than Twitter, which is like, wow, we really failed on this one, guys. So I think ultimately that model failed. This idea of a federated server model, just for a censorship resistant global social network, just didn't play out. So Fiat Jaff was like, hey, we could just make this way simpler. Instead of relying on your identity being tied to these servers, your identity is just a private key. It's actually the same type of key that's used in Taproot, which is like these Schnorr keys. Sec 256. Anyway, so now you just have a key that's associated to your identity, and then you can just publish messages, which are just JSON blobs and signed with your key, and then you can just send that to like maybe 5 or 6 or 10 relays or 100 relays, and that message, and these relays are dumb, so they just accept messages of any kind signed by different people, and then you're not at risk of being banned from any individual server, because if one relay bans you, it doesn't matter because your messages are on 6 other relays, and you can keep moving, and it's really easy to transfer your messages by copying from one relay to another. So it's a really simple idea of just building this censorship resistant decentralized database in some sense. It does not even necessarily Twitter specific. That's just one use case. But I think one person built a chess engine on top of Nostra. It's like anyway. So it's a lot of different use cases are built for like and I think the most important property is that it's not a blockchain. It's like this obsession of putting everything to blockchain is just ridiculous. So like we have really efficient databases like Postgres and SQLite. Like why does everything have to be in an immutable ledger? It's just silly. So. Luckily, it doesn't have that infliction.
Yeah. So this is an open database, though. And is it different from like databases you'd find on the web?
Yeah. So databases you'd find on the web, typically you download a piece of software and you control the database, and that's still true here, but usually they're very locked down. Like typically web apps don't interact with databases directly because you can just like run a command that says delete all records, and now you can hose anyone's database. So you need some type of interface to that database. So Nostra defines this very simple way of querying the database. And so you can say like, hey, give me all the posts from this user's pub key. And then it'll stream it to you in real time. So it has this WebSocket component, which allows you to create chat rooms and things like that. So I can say, hey, subscribe to this chat room, and then it'll get all the messages of that chat room in real time. So it's like this real-time database that has a well-defined interface for querying and putting data into the database.
So where's the data living? Is it in the, like if I'm running Nostr and I have can I just run it on my phone through Damus, the client you built?
Yeah. So Damus is a client that talks to this protocol that knows how to talk to these databases. They're called relays. And
so the databases are the relays.
Databases are the relays. So you don't have to run a node, right? This is another very important principle within Nostra is that to get onboarded, you don't have to run anything. You just say, hey, I'm going to send all my messages to these 10 relays, and new relays are popping up all the time. It's very simple. Like if you actually download if you go to damus.io and there's a link at the bottom, you can join the test flight. And then to create an account, you don't even have to put your email address. You don't have to put in your phone number. You don't have to put anything. You just set any username you want, and then it'll give you a key, and then boom, you're into the system, it should be that easy, right?
Got it. And so then you're blasting out all your messages to all these relays.
Yeah.
And because you're sending them out to so many, these relays are all, you can effectively guarantee that you're not going to get shut out of the entire system. Is that right?
Exactly. So there are some downsides to this approach. So your friends have to be using the same set of relays, or else you won't get their messages. So it's not like a peer-to-peer network where all these messages are getting broadcast to all the nodes, which actually makes it a bit more flexible. So a couple of use cases I was thinking of is, imagine if you're running a relay for your own company that is just like maybe even firewalled, but it only works within your organization. You can actually be sending messages. Everyone within your company could be sending messages to that relay, and then your client connects to that relay, but only your client can see those messages because you're authenticated with that, or you're on a VPN that can only see that. And I actually do that. I actually run a private Nostra relay on my WireGuard VPN at home. And so whenever I get paid, when my Lightning node receives a payment or my Bitcoin node receives a payment, I actually send a Nostra event to my private relay that my app connects to. So I can actually get these like real-time notifications of payments and stuff to Damus, which is completely private to me. So there's a lot of cool like use cases like that, which
yeah. Now, what's the incentive for someone to run a public relay? Because this would be a pretty large database, right? Like it would take up quite a few, like big resource requirement.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm actually running a relay, like the Damus relay right now, and my goal is that I'm just going to store everything no matter how spammy it is. So it's probably going to be pretty large scale. But to be honest, these are just small JSON blobs. In terms of like data scale nowadays, like it's not hard to just put that into a database on Amazon somewhere and just store everything. So yeah, it is. But why would I do that as a Damus, relay? Well, first of all, I want this to succeed. I think it's a really cool idea. So it's almost like
I bought one.
That's good enough reason for me. But there are some relays that if they don't, if it comes to a point where the spam is so bad, what relays can do is like, hey, if you want to send a message to my relay, you have to pay this Lightning invoice maybe once a month. So Fiat Jaff actually has an example of this. It's called the expensive-relay.fiatjaff, I think. And then it'll give you a Lightning invoice, and you give it a pub key and you pay that, and then now you have permission to send to that relay. So you can actually make, and then if you're spam conscious, maybe you only want to connect to those relays that are paid for. So that's one example of, so spam is an issue on the network, and there are a bunch of different approaches that we're looking at right now, which is like proof of work, which I'm not sure if it'll work. These paid relay options. I have a few ideas on how to even just have these like an orange check idea. So Michael Saylor had this idea on Twitter, whereas you buy an orange check, and then even if there are people who are buying orange checks and spamming you can eventually block them over time. So maybe you pay the Damus relay, and they'll give you an orange check, which is again just a Nostra message, and then clients can download those orange checks and then use that for spam protection. So that's another way of monetizing, which I'm looking at. But yeah, there's a lot of different approaches.
Guess that was it. Did that sum it up for you? G Clark, what up, buddy? I know nothing about BC, although I bought some on PayPal a few years ago and still don't know. My son talked me into it. G Clark, I think your son's a very smart man. I think you should give yourself a pat on the back for raising a real man over there. He's ahead of his time, my friend. Very, very smart. But you need to get that Bitcoin off of PayPal, and you need to get it into a wallet that you own, right? Like PayPal has a policy where they can take $2,500 from your account instantly if you share misinformation. So, gosh forbid you say, something like Joe Biden took a shower with his daughter, and dear Lord, you might lose $2,500 worth of Bitcoin. So yeah, get that off there, man. Bought a couple years ago. I don't know when abouts that would have been. If it was 21, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're up money no matter when. 2 years ago, if you bought it, you're definitely in the green for sure. Let's keep this party rolling, folks. Let's jump over here and take a look at this article I wanted to get into. So that's Nostra. I bought a node. It was $400. I'm gonna run an entire full Nostra node, so that way, at least at the very, very least, right, I have a place to back up all of my content, and that way you guys can always have access to it, no matter how deplatformed or how censorship our country becomes. We're gonna have a place to share information. At least, the very least, we have a way to get information out there, no matter what these tyrannical governments do. And it won't be long. You guys seen how quick it was that we deplatformed Bud Light. When people are so sick and fed up with something and they see that there's an option and we can go somewhere, and you're talking about every single creator now that's on TikTok, every single Gen Z millennial with millions and millions of followers that still has their account and hasn't lost it yet is going to go, wait, you mean to tell me I can go over here and I can use this service and I can use it for basically free and nobody can ever deplatform me or demonetize me? Yeah, I think I'm gonna give that a shot. And then eventually you end up with this whole secular economy where you just monetize your accounts through ad revenue, and you have sponsors that'll sponsor your channel just to have, you know, their logo or their brand at the top of that, because the network is making so much money. And then you completely cut out the need for advertising and going through a centralized server to advertise on your platform, which I think is pretty cool. So we'll see how it works out. I'm gonna give it a shot. Why not? I also got a cold card. I had talked to Brian D. Mint after our interview, and I was asking him, you know, like, what is the best, absolute, rock solid, most secure way to store your Bitcoin? And he said cold card. So I got one of these cold cards. It'll be here in 2 days. I'm going to get that set up, and I'm going to teach you guys how to set up multi-sig, and we're going to do a lot of cool stuff with it. We're going to try to make our Bitcoin cold storage wallets absolutely as bulletproof as possible. That way we can, you know, safely transport and move around our Bitcoin, how to back up our private keys, how to set up multi-sig. So you can have, you know, 2 of 3, you can have 2 of 2, you can have 2 of 4, you can have 2 of 5, you can have 3 of 5, you can have 5 of 7, right? So you can have literally set up 7 keys, and you have to have 5 of those 7. So you could, you know, put one at your grandma's, one at your aunt's, and you don't know, and they don't know what order they have to be in. They don't know who else has the other one. But if you have the ability to go out there and collect all 5, or a lot of times people will do 2 of 3. So you keep one master one, and then you give a bunch of different people the other 2s, right? So, or you give 2 different people one of them, and that way, like, everybody has pretty much the same one, but they don't all, without your master one, they can never get the other 2 of 3, if that makes sense. So you can just go distribute them out in a bunch of different places. You can go hide them in 2 different places for yourself, but there's bunch of different ways to really, like, back up and make sure that nobody's ever going to get a hold of your Bitcoin, no matter what happens. Even if they put a gun to your head, you just don't have the ability to give it to them. And then he also talked about setting up a second one, a backup, so that way, just in case something ever happened to you and somebody broke in your house and you had to turn over something, you know, maybe putting a little bit of Bitcoin on a second one, on a second device, just that way you can go, oh yeah, here's all my Bitcoin, that's all I got, sorry. You know, they might not know the difference. Might be something to think about. Check this out. Bruce Fenton tweets out, he says, the roots of Bitcoin and crypto is in rebellion and rejection of the status quo. Last night I was watching an old Andre's video, and I was thinking about early days in the space. Let's bring back that rebel energy. I don't even know if I got the right one here.
So about this possible winter, are you really not feeling the cold?
Look, if you're going to invest in Bitcoin, a short time horizon is 4 years, a mid-time horizon is 10 years. The right time horizon is forever. You know, Warren Buffett said, you know, if you wouldn't hold it for 10 years, you shouldn't hold it for 10 minutes. So if you look at the course of 4 years, no one's ever lost money over 4 years holding Bitcoin. And if you look at, you know, our experience, we started buying it at $10,000, and now it's up by a factor of 4. So given the right time horizon, you're fine. So it's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is it makes it the most exciting, interesting thing in the financial universe everywhere in the world. And the curse is it can induce anxiety for people that have a short attention span or are focused on a narrow time horizon.
Sorry, that wasn't the one I wanted to tweet out. So this was the one I meant to put out there. So I already read the quote. Check this video out.
I'm here in Saudi Arabia, and I was onboarding a friend last night, and so I talked to him about Bitcoin, and I demonstrated a wallet, and then I showed him some Safetine videos. I gave him Safetine's book, and I showed him Eric Voorhees' speech from Permissionless. I showed him a Michael Saylor video, and I showed him an old Andreas speech. And when I was watching that, I got a little emotional because, I remember hanging around with Andreas back in the day. In probably 2013, there was a big group of us that went to like every Bitcoin conference, and Andreas was one of them, and Eric Voorhees was one, Nick Carey, Michael Turpin, Roger Ver went to a few of them. He was already a little bit famous by then. But Andreas was a regular, and I'd, hang out with him a bit, and we were fellow speakers, and we'd grab a bite to eat after. And I miss him, I miss him, and I miss his revolutionary, speaking. He was a great educator for so many people. And I think he does more private things now with his Patreon channel. So you don't see him. I haven't seen him in years, like a lot of people in the space. But in watching his speech and watching Eric's speech, which was more recent, it got me thinking about when I was onboarded. And it was a decidedly different spirit. It was much more a spirit of revolution and much more about a spirit of completely different change. We were early crazy rebels in this space. And now it's interesting because I was talking about this 12 years ago here in Saudi Arabia. Some people remember me as the Bitcoin guy. And now I'm back. And even as a very minimal government, anti-regulation type of person, I find myself sucked into this more, mainstream narrative. Oh, great, BlackRock's here. And it's being accepted by more banks and more official institutions kind of thing. But the real true spirit of Bitcoin and all related technologies is one of revolution. It's one of completely upending the old system. And that's really, really important. And it goes in two angles. Michael Saylor talks a lot about the monetary angle. Fiat is a melting ice cube. And I'd add to that fiat is evil. Fiat creates great evil. There's all kinds of death and destruction all over the world because of fiat. Whether it's for-profit prisons in the United States or bombing people all over the world with money that they print from thin air. But there's another part of it, which is the medium of exchange, to exchange goods and services. And we've lost a little bit of that. We used to talk about, the idea that you'd have privacy to be able to do transactions. And unfortunately, it's harder to do transactions. It's harder in some ways to do transactions than it was a decade ago. It's a different time. And I think that we shouldn't lose sight of this revolutionary idea because the world is in tough shape right now, in my opinion. There's a lot of exciting things going on. A lot of exciting things here, for example. But there's also a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems in my own country. There's a lot of problems in other countries. There's death, there's destruction, there's violence. And much of that traces back to the broken, filthy fiat system. And I, for one, I'd like to, relight that fire a little bit and remind people of why we're really here. We're really here for this permissionless idea. We're really here for this revolution. We're really here to take this broken system of fiat driven by the United States and the EU and abandon that bad idea in exchange for a better idea. And to abandon the idea of centralized control and centralized permission for every single thing that free people are able to do, and let them have real freedom where they don't need the permission. And I don't think that can be underestimated.
Bingo. Bingo right there, folks. It's happening, folks. Whether you want to be on board or not, you just have no choice but to, G. Clark, like your son was pointing you in the right direction, and now it's time for you to be the adult and do what's right for your family because you don't have any options. The only option at this point is to choose to withdraw from a corrupt economy. I don't even think it's sad. It's just, I was going to say as sad as that is to say, but it's not really as sad. We've sat here while these people have lied, cheated, extorted our wealth for generations and generations and generations. And you see there's no saving it. Even like people are so hopeful for Trump to come back in, but no matter what Trump does, it's the system itself is broken. Like you can't tame the Leviathan as Vivek says it, right? You have to slay the dragon. You have to cut the snake off at the head. And the head is the fiat. It's the fiat spigot. It's the fiat Ponzi scheme. It's how they've entrapped us and enslaved us for so long. And the more you listen to people like Jeff Booth, and the more you really, let that sink in, right? And I was taking some notes. Let me see if I got them up here still. I do. So you live in a system with regulations, right? And this is Jeff Booth. Why do they have to regulate AI? Like, what is the whole purpose behind regulating AI, right? What are they doing when they're talking about AI? It's fear, right? They're fear-mongering us into fearing AI so that they can come in and regulate it, right? So think about this. You live in a system right now, in the fiat system, which is regulated to protect you. From what? It is the regulators are protecting the system that is stealing from you. So when money is broken, the laws always change in favor of the people creating the laws. We have regulators here that aren't here to protect you. They're here to protect the criminals. And the system is broken from the top down. And unless you're willing to step back and go, okay, yeah, it is broken, big time. And you only have one option. And like how many times have we all sat here, especially the people that are coming over from LFA? Like, I mean, when I first started at LFA, I was hopeful. Like, I went to CPAC and was like, okay, cool. Like, we got one spot where all these politicians are. It's just going to be like a feeding frenzy. We're going to be out there pulling out our cameras. We're going to be door stopping these politicians. We're going to be basically Loomering them. And then I found out that Laura Loomer had got removed from CPAC for asking a CNN reporter why he was trying to champion journalists getting removed from Twitter and deplatformed. And then Matt Schlapp, the head of CPAC, and I don't know if you guys seen CPAC this year, it was a total flop. It was probably one of the biggest flops in political history as far as conventions go. CPAC was a total dud. And I know a ton of people that went there, and every single person that went there was like, dude, it was pathetic. And it wasn't. I went there with hope, and there was no hope. It was politicians and a bunch of goons. It was like we were at a circus, and the politicians were the ringmasters, and it was like these people were fawning over these politicians that have literally been extorting your tax dollars and stealing your wealth from you and your family for, I can't tell you how long. And there's no ending that. But I mean, and it's sad to say, but at the same time, it's like really good for us. Like, you're in so early into Bitcoin at 70,000, 65,000, even if it drops down. And this is the thing, like we're so past that point of like, even if it goes back down to 30 right now, I wouldn't care. I honestly, I mean, I've bought it 60 before and rode it all the way down to 15. So like, I'm not afraid to ride it from 70 back down to 30. Because every day it just gives us more and more of an opportunity to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. And like, the thing about this, like the United States seized 200,000 Bitcoin. So if we just do the math on that, we can jump over here. I'll pull it up on the screen for you guys to see. But let's just say that they held on to that like any smart government would. I'm pretty sure that China's held on to every single Bitcoin that they've ever seized. So put that in perspective, that 200,000 Bitcoin, let's just say it's 70,000 right now. I know it's like 68, but it'll be easier. 2, 3. Let's see this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's $14 billion. $14 billion. If they just held that, if I'm doing that right, or is it 140 billion? Yeah, it's $14 billion. And our government's just going to offload another, what is it? Another 2 billion? Instead of holding on to an asset that could, I don't know, maybe pay off some of the debt that our government has got us in. Maybe just holding that Bitcoin would be the smartest thing that they could ever do, which is why they're going to sell it. Because our government doesn't have any intentions of ever paying off that debt, because they can't. Because in order to keep the system running and keep the Ponzi scheme up and thriving, they have to print more money. So just a matter of time before the Fed reverses course. They want to cut interest rates so bad, and we're going to see on the 10th here, if we even make it to the 10th, we'll see how that solar eclipse plays out. But British HODL, actually, you know what? Let's jump into this article. That's what I wanted to get into. Let's talk about, speaking of them selling it, right? Let's throw some jams on and get into it, folks. So U.S. government could be selling 2 billion of its seized Bitcoin. The U.S. government transferred seized Bitcoin from Silk Road Marketplace website, sparking speculation of a potential sale. The U.S. government recently transferred a significant portion of its Bitcoin holdings seized from Silk Road Marketplace website. What are the odds they sell it to BlackRock for like a few $1 million? The U.S. government recently transferred a significant portion of its Bitcoin holdings seized from Silk Road Marketplace's website, leading to speculation that it may be preparing to sell off the stash. The anticipation has the market on its toes, with discussions airing about the aftermath of this event. The move, possibly aimed at liquidating a significant stash of Bitcoin, has sparked discussions among experts and investors alike. Seizure of BTC from Silk Road Marketplace's website. Silk Road, once a notorious digital black market facilitating illegal transactions, was shut down by the FBI. The government seized over 200,000 Bitcoin worth billions of dollars from this illicit marketplace. The legal battle ensued, leading to the recent decision by the U.S. Department of Justice, the DOJ, to move forward with the sale of these seized assets. At present, the main address where the government stores its Bitcoin from the Silk Road holds about 29,799 Bitcoin, valued at approximately $1.96 billion. And if we throw that up on the screen right here, you can see this tweet over here by Pete_Rizzo_ over on X. The U.S. government had just initiated a test transaction to send 30,000 BTC to Coinbase. Coinbase ran out of Bitcoin. They have to borrow some from the U.S. government. That's kind of rich, isn't it? The United States government recently initiated transactions involving these seized Bitcoin on-chain. Data revealed several transactions indicating that the transfer of a significant amount of Bitcoin to exchanges like Coinbase. These transactions have raised speculation about the government's intentions and their potential impact on the digital asset marketplace. So I'm curious, right? Like, Rich, what was his name? Aldridge is in prison for life, if I'm not mistaken. Like, how did they get his keys? Like, what did they have to do to him to get him to turn over those keys? So the U.S. government recently initiated transactions involving these seized Bitcoin. On-chain data revealed that several transactions indicating the transfer of a significant amount of Bitcoin to exchanges like Coinbase. These transactions have raised speculation about the government's intentions and their potential impact on the digital asset marketplace. The fuck? It's like I read the same thing 3 times. So Zach XBT, if you guys aren't following Zach XBT over on X, he's probably one of the best sleuths online when it comes to actually tracking the blockchain. So if you ever get a wallet that gets hacked, it's he's the dude that you should be following on. So Expert Insights tweeted out, or Expert Insights says blockchain analysis and industry leaders have offered their perspective on the government's action. Blockstream CEO Adam Back sees the government's Bitcoin sales as an opportunity for hodlers, suggesting it could protect against future inflation. He remarked, good point. Should have hodled, but better for Bitcoiners if they sell and then print more USD later. They know they want to. Well, basically, they have to at this point. Couldn't agree more with that one. Blockchain analysis Benjamin Skew shared his views on social media platforms, shedding light on the Silk Road Bitcoin's movement to Coinbase. Skew explained that while chaos ensues, the bulk was transferred to an inactive wallet. So he tweets out the chaos ensued. Bitcoin Silk Road BTC is being sent to Coinbase to be sold. However, upon digging further, the main funds are sent to a freshly created wallet, which sits idle for now. So perhaps stop panicking a little. Maybe the United States government has their own wallet on Coinbase. Ali Martinez chimed in on the price analysis of Bitcoin now, emphasizing the significance of the 200-period moving average, EMA, on Bitcoin's 4-hour chart. And Martinez noted its consistent support since February, crucial in halting declines. Now, Bloomberg analysis James Shifrat highlighted this event, suggesting that the government's action was influenced by Judge Felicia's dismissal of SEC acquisitions against Coinbase regarding brokerage activity on a Coinbase wallet. That's really weird. The government was simply waiting for Judge Felicia to dismiss the SEC's accusations that Coinbase conducted brokerage activity through Coinbase wallet before making this move. The U.S. Marshal Service, a major Bitcoin seller, has facilitated the sale of 195,000 BTC up to now, as reported by researcher Jameson Lopp. Where did the government do with all this money, do you guys think? Think it went back to the citizens of this country, maybe? Probably not. Government strategy and market reactions. Following reports of the government's possible Bitcoin sale, the Bitcoin market experienced fluctuations. Bitcoin price dropped, reflecting the uncertainty surrounding the sale of such a large quantity. Market observers are closely monitoring the situation for future developments. Now, the U.S. government decision to sell seized Bitcoin is part of its ongoing efforts to handle assets obtained for criminal activities. Despite attempts by lawmakers to hold these funds as strategic assets, the government continues to follow its mandate of selling confiscated assets, including digital assets. In March, the U.S. government auctioned off 10,000 Silk Road-related Bitcoin, selling about 9,861 BTC valued at $260 million, as reported in court documents. The sale of such a significant amount of Bitcoin could potentially affect market dynamics. Some experts believe that the government's sale may create short-term volatility in Bitcoin's market. However, others argue that the long-term impact may be limited, as previous sales had little visibility effects on Bitcoin's price in the movement. I wonder if any of those, I wonder if the government was selling off any of those assets at the same time that Sam Bankman-Fried was pulling his shenanigans trying to collapse the Bitcoin market. That'd be really interesting to take a look into. Now, the future outlook as the U.S. government proceeds with the sale of Silk Road Bitcoin, questions arise about the intentions and the broader implications for the Bitcoin market. Investors and analysts are keenly observing how these developments unfold and their potential ramifications for Bitcoin price and market dynamics. Now, the U.S. government's decision to seize Silk Road's Bitcoin marks a significant development in the space, with experts offering diverse perspectives and the market reacting to the news. That's about it over there in that article. Now, it's really cool too. We talked about Nostra. Now, here's something else that might come into play, right? I don't have a screenshot of this one. Just give me 1 second. Let me throw this one up here. Because now we're talking about a decentralized payment rails on the Lightning built on Nostra. So this would be really interesting if it was possible that they could actually pull this one off. Give me 1 second. We'll get it up over here. Bingo. So Mastro, a P2P decentralized Lightning exchange built on Nostra rails. So Mastro is a censorship-resistant peer-to-peer decentralized Lightning exchange, enhancing financial sovereignty through the Nostra protocol. This is really cool. Let me just zoom in on this one really quick. So as authoritarian regimes tighten their grip on digital spaces, the necessity for censorship-resistant protocols becomes increasingly evident. Enter Mastro, a peer-to-peer decentralized Lightning exchange. It not only facilitates seamless peer-to-peer exchanges, but also pioneers a new frontier in financial sovereignty, adding a new use case for the Nostra protocol. That's sweet. So Mastro, a Lightning and Nostro integration. It's in its beta phase. Mastro emerges as a beacon of financial liberation, offering users the ability to seamlessly trade Bitcoin via the Lightning network for various fiat currencies accepted by sellers. Serving as a testament to resilience, it integrates seamlessly with Nostra, fortifying its foundation for long-term sustainability and its hard-to-censor nature. This is where enter Nostra as a platform where the bot can live without the possibility of being censored by a powerful entity. Development stated November 11th of 2022. So it looks like this November will be 2 years that this has been in the works, or that tweet was sent out. So behind the innovation, Francesco, also known as Negrub, is a Venezuelan software engineer advocate for free and open source software, FOSS, as they call it, a Bitcoin supporter, as stated in his Nostr profile. And he goes by NEGRUNCH on Nostr. So Francisco also built other programs and web apps that are worth mentioning. While being a very popular Lightning P2P bot on Telegram and a Lightning event registration called Data, whatever that means, the Human Rights Foundation grants, in a testament to its potential for catalyzing society change, Nostr, along with 17 other groundbreaking projects, was awarded a grant of $500,000 distributed between them by the Human Rights Foundation. In December of 2023, the endorsement underscores its pivotal role in advancing financial freedom and human rights worldwide. Funding will support Nostr's progress in helping users in restrictive financial environments buy and sell Bitcoin in censorship-resistant ways. So the HRF started to support Nostr's development and gave Nostr a grant which allows me to keep coding an entire year exclusively on Nostr development. Let's keep working and give the non-KYC and censorship-resistant Bitcoin peer-to-peer protocol tool to the world. Join us and help us build Nostro. Thank you so much, HRF. This would be pretty sweet, folks. Because this means that like when your government wants to tell you that you can't buy Bitcoin, there's no way for them to do that, which is really huge. And G. Clark says, I'm a faithful LFA member. Thank you. No, thank you, G. Clark. He says, thanks again. Yeah, so Mr. K says, okay, 6. So, you know, he goes in pretty hard over there. My first, one of my favorite shows of the day. Yeah, we go hard over on LFA. We definitely do. We don't hold back over there. It's really cool. Germany's built an amazing network where, you know, you're never really censored. You can pretty much say whatever you want, whenever you want. Not pretty much, you always can. So before New Grunch started to develop the app, he was working on a peer-to-peer bot on Telegram that allowed thousands of people to buy and sell Bitcoin without KYC, which is know your customer. This bot does not require you to have any expertise in coding. It works with simple commands. Francisco was part of a video conference at Azila's Blockchain YouTube channel, where he explained how Nostr solved the possibility of Telegram banning the bot. Really cool. So Bitcoin Nautics, Francesco, and there's a video over here. Actually, let me throw that video up in here. Sweet. Give me 1 second, I'll grab that and pull it down. It's only a 35-second video. I don't even know if it's in English. Give me 1 second, I'll actually rip it and see what he says here. Throw it in the program. Look at one more video, and then we'll jump over to the charts and take a look at Bitcoin and see where we think Bitcoin's going. I think I hit my level last night. I think I was saying I was going to buy if we got back above 68,000. We didn't pull back any farther, so I said I was going to buy more. So I might have to take those limits off and buy them. But check out this clip.
Monstruo se llama y permite exactamente lo mismo. Permite a la gente comprar y vender Bitcoin utilizando Lightning Network.
Yeah, it's not in English, so you guys get the idea. I'm pretty sure I just read off exactly what he said anyway. So Telegram Lightning bot, peer-to-peer. So the problem with the bot were addressed by Nugrich, who stated the following: although the bot works excellent, it's running on top of Telegram, a great platform, but we do not know if one day it will be reached by the tentacles of the powerful government asking for political dissidents or simply awkward public persons. This is where you enter Nostr as a platform where the bot can live without the possibility of being censored by a powerful entity. So how does Nostr work? Let's throw this up on the chat or up on the screen here. There it is. So you can see you have a seller over here. I want to sell my Bitcoin. You have Nostr, which is the middleman or the middle protocol, I would call it. And then the LN node, which is your Lightning Network node. So you see, I want to sell my Bitcoin. You go to Nostr. He creates a give me a hold invoice. He sends the hold invoice to the Lightning node. Hold invoice comes back, which would be step 3. Then it goes, please pay this hold invoice. So he sends it over to the seller. And then paying through Lightning sends it back over to the Lightning node. Payment received sends it back over. Thanks. Talk to the buyer now. Huh. I guess I don't know if you guys are, am I missing something there? So maybe that's just letting the network know that you actually have the Bitcoin. It verifies that you have the Bitcoin. It verifies that you want to sell the Bitcoin. And then now it puts your Bitcoin up for sale. So CryptoPanas, if I'm saying that right, a YouTube channel that creates Bitcoin tutorials and content in Spanish, said the following on Stack.news. Mastra is based on a Lightning Network node that routes payments through generative invoices, and these nodes, called Mastros, are run by users who receive commissions for their services. The reputation of the node is crucial as users can rate them, incentivizing their participation in the platform's payment processing. So Mastra works with a peer-to-peer communication on top of Nostra. It will be the escrow that allows the buyer to sell and operate. Okay, so that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing basically that you can prove that you have the Bitcoin, you prove that you want to sell them, and then once you prove that, you're able to list them on the network, and then somebody can come purchase them from you, I believe. So it relies on 3 permissions to work. The client, who buyers and sellers will need the client to buy/sell Bitcoin, and the Lightning wallet. Now, removing a single point of failure, making Mastra nodes as easy as possible to implement for non-coders or programmers. These nodes will route the payments, and they take a fee cut for each seller's successful order. Now, reputation system, users will be able to rate sellers, thus providing organic growth and competition between sellers to obtain more buyers, which is pretty cool. And then it just goes right here, walks you through it there as well. Now, a web client announced on January of 2024, making it possible for people to start testing and finding possible bugs, and the learning curve is exponentially lower. Oh, you can get a web client. Selling sats for 1 GB, created 1 day ago, expires in 12 hours. Oh, that's pretty cool. So check that out. See, I'm still not familiar with the whole Lightning Network, and I'm trying to get some people on here. I was talking to a couple people this morning about trying to get some experts on here who really understand Lightning Network, how it works. I got the node, I got a bunch of stuff set up. I'm like this close to really grasping it. And once I fully understand it, then I'm going to start teaching you guys how to actually set these up. So UFO Nut says, nice. You need a peer-to-peer, big liquidity pools, trustless verification. Yeah, I agree. So it looks like here you can buy selling sats for 50 VS. And I wonder how you get your dollars. That's what I'm curious about, is how you do it with your dollars. Maybe do you have like a dollars in your Lightning wallet, or does anybody in here have a Lightning wallet set up? I mean, I'm really interested to see how that actually works. I want a decentralized Lightning wallet, or a self-custody, I should say. I don't want a custodial Lightning wallet, but I don't know if you can get those. I'm pretty sure you can. You can get a non-custodial Lightning wallet. I know you can. I don't know which one is best or which one I would recommend to anybody, so I'm not going to try. But we'll get some experts on the show here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll really dive into Lightning. There's so much to go on with Bitcoin. This is why I was saying, like, when we went into this last cycle, I did this in Cadena. And I wish now, I mean, I made a lot of money in Cadena, and then I wrote it all the way down. So I don't know. I don't think I really made anything. I definitely didn't make anything. I got a giant bag of Cadena. Now, when we hit $2, I had bought so much at the 40-cent range that if I would have taken profits at $2, probably still would have lost some, if I'm being honest. Well, I guess not, because my bots have made me so much in the last couple months anyway. So maybe not. With my bots and everything, I probably at a wash at about $2. But I put all that time in there, and I just think about if I would have put all that time into studying Bitcoin and everything that's going on in the Bitcoin ecosystem, especially with all these Bitcoin L2s and all these other side projects that are going on here, it's like the Bitcoin it's becoming its own animal. Like, you can't stop it. And I feel like there's so many opportunities to make money if you just focused on Bitcoin, which I'm going to try at this bull run. I'm sure you degenerates out there are going to keep doing your, shitcoin gaming. I don't knock you for it. I did it last bull run and it's very profitable, but you have to make that your full-time job, right? Like it's hard enough to make money in crypto when you're focusing on one ecosystem or you're focusing on, a couple different ecosystems. But I think if you hammer any one of them, even if it's meme coins, I think a lot of people in these meme coins are just, the gains are so exponential. So you don't even really have to be that good at it. You just have to kind of get in on a couple of them and let a couple of them hit. But you're literally just playing scratch off tickets. You're hoping, you're sitting in Discords, jerking off with a bunch of other dweebs, hoping that maybe, just maybe, you get your bags pumped so you can dump them onto somebody else. But that's what you're doing. It's like, for you to make money in Bitcoin, you don't ever have to dump it on anybody, because there's always going to be a never-ending perpetual supply of buyers, like a constant demand. So you're, when you can sell, millions of dollars worth of an asset in a snap of a finger and it doesn't affect the markets, it's pretty cool. You sell a couple $1,000s worth of some of these shit coins, and I remember when the first time a guy put $1,000 into Shiba and he turned into $2,000 instantly. We were watching it did it live. It was the weirdest thing. I was like, holy shit. This dude just made $1,000, and everybody saw it, and then everybody started throwing money into it. And it was because it had such a low market cap. Everybody that threw money just up. And then some people like Grish threw $600 and something like that, and it turned into 66,000. And that was before it even like really blasted off. I think we'd had a couple million if he would have held on. But hey, he got out. He got a lot of money out of the market. I can't blame him on that one. Let's jump into this next thing by British Hodl. He's becoming one of my favorite personalities over on X. If you guys aren't following at British Hodl, you're missing out. He says, BlackRock is selling Bitcoin to these people. New buyers are not who we think they are. If you're just rich, you'll be skipped over. Why you must get your Bitcoin allocation now.
I actually think there's a sea change with Bitcoin, and here's something that I want to discuss, which I think is going to, if you're sitting and your net worth is under $36 million, this is going to directly affect you, because I think you're going to have your wealth skinned away from you. You are going to be skinned alive if your wealth is under $36 million.
So to put that into perspective, what he's saying there, if you Google the top richest 200,000 people in the world, because somebody in the live chat dropped over here and said that only 200,000 people in the world own one Bitcoin. And I go, okay, well, if Bitcoin becomes the global reserve currency, then you technically have you're one of 200,000 people, which in theory, to put that into perspective, one of 200,000 people, like the richest 200,000 people in the world, their net worth is right there around $30 million. So to put that into perspective, I don't know if that's where he's going with this one, but just want to throw that out there.
I've only just thought about this, so it's something that is a new thought for me. It's something that I need to discuss with people who are in that sort of wealth bracket. Let's say $1 million to $36 million. Basically anyone under $36 million. I think you are going to have your wealth taken from you, and I think you're going to miss the Bitcoin train, and I think it's designed for you to miss the Bitcoin train. Here's something I learned quite recently, which is in ultra high net worth portfolios, that's basically anyone above $36 million of wealth, considered ultra high net worth. Around 46% of the portfolio is in alternative assets. And I would have never thought that. That was something that never crossed my mind. It was like, someone who's ultra high net worth, of course they got equities, of course they got real estate, of course they got all these, traditional assets. But the truth is, 46% of their wealth is in alternative assets. So what that tells me is that ultra high net worths are more open to something like Bitcoin than the high net worth, right? So again, high net worth is under $36 million, ultra high net worth is above $36 million. And it's very important to understand this, which is why I want you to subscribe to the channel so that we can have these conversations. You can start seeing how the game is being played. Because when you think about it, it's like, well, now that these ETFs are approved, who are the people that are being called to invest in these ETFs? It's not the sub 36 mil. I got friends, that are in that range that are not receiving any phone calls at all. And I've got friends who are above the $36 million range who are being called by their advisors. That's what made me go and look at what's going on here. And I've come to a couple of theories as to why I think that this is the case and why Bitcoin is going to be used to protect the ultra wealthy, and the wealthy are going to be skinned alive if you don't get your shit together individually. for what's going on here. So when you look at how wealth is controlled and owned and distributed when it comes to the under $36 million, so the wealthy range, you realize that the majority of portfolios are in equities and real estate, majority real estate. Then when you go above that, it's equities, and the more you go above that, it's going to be these alternative investments that are out here. So what that tells me is that the ultra wealthy have realized that the market for trad assets like equities and real estate is so saturated that they've had to pursue higher risk opportunities in order to generate the returns that they need on the scalable level that they need them with that amount of money. And so really, the alternative investments are private equity, it's private lending, it's all like art, all this other stuff that's considered risque to people. But the real factor is this: they're investing in the private equity side, and then they're dumping. The exit liquidity for the ultra wealthy is basically the wealthy, and then the wealthy are holding those companies in their portfolios while the ultra wealthy are out of those markets. So it makes sense what's going on here, because I think we've been looking at it the wrong way. I think that the ultra wealthy at this point, it makes sense why BlackRock was studying Bitcoin since 2017, because they deal with the ultra wealthy, and the ultra wealthy are more interested in Bitcoin than we think. The ultra wealthy are more interested in understanding how to maintain and grow their wealth than we think. So of course BlackRock has been studying this since 2017, while everyone else has been wondering when they're going to jump in. I actually think that as a percentage, you probably got Bitcoin as a percentage of people more exposed in the ultra wealthy category than in the wealthy category. And I think that that's terrifying, because if you're someone who's built a property portfolio, $5, $10, $15 million property portfolio, they're just going to leave you behind. And it makes sense, right? Because you own real estate. The majority of your property is real estate. It's not beachfront real estate. It's not prime real estate, because that's too expensive. You own single family homes. It's trying to disturb me right now. You own single family homes, and what that means is you are redistributable. The ultra wealthy are not redistributable, because the type of properties that they own, the price properties that they own, nobody can afford them. But you, with a $5, $10, $15 million portfolio, we need to dump your properties onto the market, because the peasants need somewhere to live. So it makes complete sense to me as soon as let me turn this off. It makes complete, I don't know what it is. People have radars, right? Like, oh, British Holler's recording a video. Let me text him. Unstoppable, in an unstoppable manner. So anyway, I think that there is a lot to think about here, which a lot of people are missing. I think ultra high net worth is the game. I think they're the ones that are buying Bitcoin. I think the wealthy are going to be left behind, and I think the wealthy are going to be skinned alive to redistribute their real estate riches. God damn it. I don't even understand. Look, I got 7 voice notes from this guy. Right. They're going to redistribute their real estate riches and give the peasants somewhere to live. It is going to be the only wealth tax that is applicable in the United States. You've got to let the ultra wealthy fly, because they're already in assets that you can't really control. So what's the only asset you can control and get political points for? It's real estate. It's livable, single family home real estate. And so you're gonna get screwed. It's as simple as that. I'm more emboldened than ever in my understanding that the Bitcoin, adoption curve here is just going to skip completely over the wealthy, go straight to the ultra high net worth above 36 mil. They're going to get into it. It's going to then explode their wealth. They're going to redistribute real estate riches, because the wealthy have been told Bitcoin's too risky and they're not being told about it. And if you're under $36 million of net worth, you need to start grabbing a hold of your sense of pride and responsibility for the amount of wealth that you have, and start getting to an appropriate amount of Bitcoin before you end up losing it all because of high interest rates, you know, slowing property price growth, etc., etc. So yeah, this is an interesting thing to think about, and it's something that I've learned very recently. So I'm thinking about it more and more. But I wanted to get this out there because it sort of lines up with the conversations that I've been having with people who have advisors, right? The people with $5 to $10 million that have advisors haven't even heard about Bitcoin ETFs yet. Someone I spoke to that's worth over $70 million definitely had a phone call. Definitely had a phone call. So I think the wealthy are going to be the ones where you can tax, in essence, and start helping the poor. And the ultra high net worth, they're just going to get richer and richer. And it makes sense for increasing the gap between the poor and the ultra high net worth. And you've got to make a choice. Do you want to be poor, or do you want to be really ultra high net worth? Because anywhere in that middle range, you are going to be taken advantage of. It's just very, very simple. And that's something you need to think about, right? So I wanted to put this out there because it just blew me away. I thought that what we were going to do is do this sort of bottom-up adoption, but really, no. Like, yeah, there's been a few people who will be classed as lucky by Wall Street that got into Bitcoin early, and they've got a large amount of wealth now and will have a large amount of wealth. But then after that, this middle generation, which owns a bunch of real estate, et cetera, businesses, blah, 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 just going to skip right over them, go straight to ultra high net worth and start getting ultra high net worth into this. So if you don't want to remain poor for the rest of your life, then you need to secure some Bitcoin, because if you are in this under $36 million category, you are being forgotten about right now. It's as simple as that. BlackRock doesn't play with the wealthy category. It plays with the ultra high net worth category. And I should have seen this before, but I've only seen it now. And so now you're going to start seeing, I don't even think they're going to tell anyone who's in that under $36 million category. I don't think they're going to even try. It's all ultra high net worth. It's all the people who have, the majority of the capital. That middle range is just going to be skinned alive, which is why I'm saying please subscribe to the channel, help me get this message out there as quick as possible. And ultimately, there's always only 3 rules to Bitcoin. Step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy.
You guys got those steps down? Step number 1, you get into Bitcoin. Step number 2. I dig it. Let's jump over here to these charts and take a look and see what we got going on over here on the Bitcoin charts. Rockabilly, good to see you, man. Good to see you. UFO Nut says, I know my business is pretty dependent on the Hamptons area, but I'm out as soon as I can. I don't blame you, my friend. I don't blame you. You think you're going to make it out? You think things are going to get violent in the next, I don't know, I think we're going into the summer of hell, as I call it. So you think you're going to make it through the summer? What are you expecting, Hernando? What do you see coming? Are we is our country in serious trouble? Or you think we're going to make it through 2024 without any major false flags or any major terrorist attacks in our country? Hernando will tell you how it is. I don't know. Personally, I honestly don't know. I don't know. I didn't think our country would make it this far. So, but you can tell, like, whatever they're planning, it's getting accelerated at such a fast rate right now. Bitcoin's at 67,920. And I did say I was going to buy if we got back above, what was it, 68,000 yesterday? Yeah, I should have bought right there when we broke back over it. Wow, those are some real, those are on the weekly time frame. Let's jump over here on a 4-hour time frame and see what we're looking at. So you got a false breakout over here, and that was at 65,000. Said don't take that trade right here in your breakout. But on the 4-hour time frame, you're crossing back over. You're almost getting ready to cross over on your Elliott wave oscillator here, so you're almost back into the green. You got one buy order here, but you got, see these yellow blocks right here are your false breakout indicator. So it's saying don't take that trade. And let me zoom out on this thing a little bit. I really need to get this thing more organized. There we go. Now we can see all the indicators. Okay, yeah. So now you guys can see. So our oscillator's over in the red, but you can see it's trending towards being back in the green over here. So when we get that crossover, which honestly it might print on this next candle, we could see that. And if we jump over here and we split that up and we take a look at our RSI. RSI on the 4 hour. Yeah, that's what I'm on the 4 hour now. It's almost like we had a little bit of a double bottom. No bullish divergence, but we are getting back above the 50 on the 4 hour. Now, if we jump back on a daily time frame, I think we're still well above the 50. Yeah, we are. We're still well above the 50. We're still on our uptrend. Everything that we're seeing over here is bullish. We had read that article earlier. They talked about the 200-day moving average. We throw back on our moving averages over here. On the 4 hour time frame, we're back above the 200-day moving average now. We're actually back above all moving averages, almost back above the 50. It looks like getting rejected on the 50. We can jump into a smaller time frame and break it down to an hour. Hour time frame, you're almost back above the 200-day as well. You are back above you got back above it for a second there, but you're kind of getting rejected on the 200-day moving average. We have a sell position right here. It's actually right over here, saying sell at 68,000. We can take a look at, I think that Bitcoin inflows weren't that important today. KDA's back down here again at $1.25. Flux is back down to $1.12. All markets are looking pretty rough right now, as a matter of fact. The S&P 500. Wow. So it looks like it fell off a cliff here at the end of the day today. We throw it on the daily time frame on the S&P 500. Whoa, what happened there, folks? Oh, I didn't know that. Yowzers. That's a 2% dump there, boys and girls. Jeez, Pizza, you look at this market and you're just like, what in the hell, dude? Like, what in the hell? In what world, what reality? Like, how many traders, I know Ray Dalio was like, supposedly, at least he was saying he was, right? Like, they were hella short over here. And I mean, big time short. So I don't know if Ray Dalio's trades were blowing up or if he, closed out his positions. But at one point, like there was people that were really short on this market. Same with, what's his name? Who's that guy from The Big Short, right? I think that everybody was thinking that this was like 2008, the old crisis where the Fed didn't have basically a trading desk on Wall Street. But now with BlackRock and Aladdin and an endless supply of money that they can print out of thin air, it's not hard for them to continue propping up this market. Let me just show you guys something here really quick. So if we go back onto let's go on to a monthly time frame, right? Those of you guys that are new to the channel, you guys probably haven't seen this in a long time. But if you take a look at these spots over here, this was all the way back to the 80s, right? So you take a look at your market, and let's just say we were to put a trend line on this market, right? So even if we just go to the bottom of these, right? We just kind of run it across like that. We'll try to get it back there. Okay, that's pretty much perfect, right? We're touching at this peak, this peak, this peak, this peak. So we're going all the way back to 1998, right? All the way to 2001. So this is 2001, right? So that was the trajectory that market was on until basically 2001. What year did we go to war in Afghanistan? Was that 2001, wasn't it? Or 2002? Something like that. So anyways, we come out of that one, right? And then we kind of start this new trajectory, which is, we'll say it like that, right? We'll run this one out. Okay, there's that one. And then this was the 2008 financial crisis, right? So then we started to this market started to take off like this. That was the '08 market crash, right? Then over here, right? This was the Trump liquidity crisis right here on the chart, right? Now our market's like that, right? And we had this, what we thought we were going into a recession. Now our market's going like this, dude. So if you just go and say, okay, hey, the Fed wasn't printing money. They weren't abusing the money supply, right? In a free market, because after like 2001 is kind of when we pretty much got out of like the last little bit of a free market that we had. '08 was definitely it, right? So you see the trajectory of this bottom line. I can actually change the color on that. So it says we can talk about colors, right? So the red line is like maybe somewhat of like a natural market on how things would play out. Like that's healthy, right? You have ups, you have downs, and the market just slowly grows and grows and grows. But when you start printing money out of thin air, you can see we go to this next one. We'll make that one blue. That trajectory, definitely not healthy, right? And you look at the next one, which is this orange one. We'll turn that one, we'll go yellow on that one. Then you can see kind of even what Trump did to the market over here when Trump pumped it over here, which is their teal. And then now you have the Biden market, which is this orange yellow. And if we kind of zoom in there, it's literally like, where is that going? Like at some point, like something has to break. And I guess it doesn't really even have to break. It's just going to hyperinflate. You're just going to lose everything in this market. I think it's really that simple. Like this is just not sustainable. I mean, eventually it's going to go like that. It's just going to be printing money out of thin air and just dumping helicopters full of money all over the place. The market's not going to sustain. We take a look at gold too, all those precious metal holders out there. And I bought gold that was like 1900 or something like that. And then as soon as I bought it, it dropped down a little bit. Bought some silver as well. And gold seems to be doing pretty good right now. Gold, USDT. No, that's not what we want. We want gold in the traditional markets. There we go. Gold per ounce. Gold is up here pushing in a new all-time high around 2,300. And I wonder if they're letting gold run, finally letting it run, because it's looking so bad against Bitcoin that if Bitcoin kept going up and up and up and gold didn't go up, but that's the value. I mean, that's really your currency getting debased right there. And you can even see the price of gold over here back in the day. Yeah, so that's all the way back to the 40s. And you see gold, right? When you're not abusing the money supply, that's your trajectory of gold. And then when do we get off? What is this over here? Let's see the dates on this. Okay, yeah, so here's the 70s, right? So you can see the trajectory of gold, that blue line right there. For the most part, $35 was it, folks. And then, boom, we off the gold standard. At some point over here, it looked like it shot up a little bit, up to like $43, then came crashing all the way back down to 35. And then as soon as we came off that gold standard, baby, 73, it was on to the races. And that was just your wealth, the wealth of your nation just getting depreciated. The government literally stealing your money. They didn't work for it. They didn't produce anything of value. They pressed a few buttons on a keyboard. And then you just watch it right here. I mean, it's just, again, and now we had this really, really long, I guess you call it gold bear market from, was it 08? No, that was from 80, 78, 79. We hit a peak in 79 of about $873. We came all the way down to $240, all the way till 2002. So that would have been from its peak, 70% off. Even gold went 70% off. That's pretty wild. Rockabilly says, I moved my IRA out of the stock market to money. That's all I can do. I talked with Goldco. They said, wait another year and you can move it to gold. I'm thinking, screw that. I would rather pay the 30% penalty. Now you're thinking. Rockabilly, damn straight, man. That 30% penalty to put yourself into an asset like Bitcoin that's going to appreciate at the very least at 48% per year. I mean, in the first year that you move that. And you could have got into Bitcoin again at 60,000 last week. I say you pay it. I paid it. I tell everybody to pay it. And I did the analogy. I did the breakdown for you. You know, my buddy Chris was gonna move his and he didn't. It was like $67,000. And the fee would have took him down to like 50,000. And that 50,000 today would be worth 170 something thousand. I mean, the markets are so rigged, you have no choice. Kimmy B, good to see you. I cannot stay, but I just wanted to jump in and give a thumbs up. Thanks, Kimmy B. Gene Don Dano says the shitbag troublemakers numbers are so low, and soy, I don't give an F what they are planning. They can F-O and find out. I could not agree more, my friend. Gene, you're speaking my language, man. You are speaking my language, brother. Absolutely, man. I think everybody's feeling that way. We're so sick of our government just taking everything from us, man. Like, you can never get ahead. I'm actually trying to find a video here. Oh, yeah, those are the history ones. Oh, here it is. These are the ones I wanted. Right? Like, this is how Gen Z's feeling. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put a background on it. Not that it matters, but why not?
I cannot stand how the news has been dogging Gen Z and calling them lazy for not wanting to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of their lives. Let me put it in perspective for everybody who's a little confused here, okay? I work 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week, okay? I do not make enough to live on my own. I would not make enough to pay rent, water, electric, and eat. All by myself. I would not be capable of doing that. 20 years ago when you were getting started, you could live on your own. 20 years ago when you first started, you were able to do everything that I am now struggling to do. Let me add another perspective here. You've been working for 20 years. You have 20 years of working experience behind your belt. You have 20 years of experience in a career that has allowed you to gain raises, to get more money, to profit you in an economy that you created. You can sit here and you can call Gen Z lazy all you want, but I've been working my tail end off just to barely make it by. And respectfully, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I don't want to work my tail end off, wasting all of my life working just to barely be able to pay my bills. And that is what you created, not Gen Z. We're just here getting started. You've been doing it for the last 20 years. You tell me how it got ruined. We can sit here and we can call Gen Z lazy all you want, but you let the economy turn into what it did. You let it all run to hell. And now it's Gen Z's fault because we don't want to work to fix your mistakes.
Bingo. Bingo. Gen Z's on it, folks. I told you guys, and I told my dad this actually, and you guys probably heard me say it. It's not going to be long before Gen Z wakes up and goes, F you. You mean to tell me that I turn 18 and I got to go out into the world and I got to get 2 jobs so that this government can take 53% of every penny I make to bail you guys out for the horrible, catastrophic decisions that you made or that you let the government make? You all stood by and did nothing while these people robbed, looted, and pillaged our entire country and drained our treasury. And now you want us to clean up your mistakes? I don't think so, folks. I do not think so. And that's just one of many. I'm actually collecting all these. So if you guys find any more people like that are going on these rants, I'm not on TikTok. I got my 5th TikTok account now. I should say I'm not on it, but I don't waste my days away scrolling through TikTok. But if you guys do, and you come across any more Gen Z videos like that, please share them to me because it's contagious. And the more that we promote these people and the more that people speak out and they hear people speaking out about it, the more that you're going to understand it. Now, here's another one. Check this little girl out. I can't tell if this is legit or if this is she looks like she's way too young to have degrees, but
can anyone explain to me how I have 2 degrees? I have 2 degrees. Oh, and a certificate. A little extra, right? I have a certificate. May not be a master's, but it's something extra along with the 2 degrees, you know? I'm trying to apply for jobs right now, and the thing is that the only person I have responding to me is a man from a tech company saying, "Hey, you want to answer some customer service problems? You want to answer some customer service calls?" No, Bart, I don't want to answer your calls. No offense, but I'm a little more qualified than to just be sitting around answering your customer service calls, Bart, okay? I'm sorry, but Bart is the only one who's responding to me. So what am I supposed to do? And I'm looking down at these and I'm looking at them and I'm kind of wondering. I'm like, what was this for again? Oh, I don't know. Beats me.
They're all waking up, folks. They're all waking up. They've been shammed. They've been dealt the worst hand. And I mean, I guess we all were, right? It just kept getting exponentially worse and exponentially worse and exponentially worse. And now it's to a point where Gen Z doesn't even have a fighting chance. Like, you can't even convince Gen Z that there's a point to go get a job and work minimum wage, because at least, you know, when your parents were kids, right? They go get a job working minimum wage and they could actually buy things. Like, you could go to school part-time, or you could go to school full-time, get off school, work a job for a couple hours at your local grocery store or your local ski lodge or wherever it was. You could afford a car payment. Not only could you afford a car payment, you'd probably have your car paid off by the time you graduated. And then on top of that, you'd be able to put some money into a savings account. Now these kids can't even, you can't even work full time and fill your tank of gas to go to work every day, buy yourself some fast food processed garbage that's going to kill you, and get by. You just can't do it. Like, why would any of these kids want to go work their lives away as slaves, making some woke corporation money that they're going to use to then try to take away their freedoms with the profits that they make from it? Just, you can't convince me that, like, everybody's not going to wake up at the same time and go, yeah, we're done. We're withdrawing from this corrupt economy because it's rigged. And I think even the boomers and the older people like that. I mean, there's so many people over in LFA that, you know, 6 months ago would have never even thought about buying Bitcoin. Or even when I talked about Bitcoin, they're like, dude, just shut up, talk about anything else but Bitcoin. I don't want to hear about it. And now people are like, okay, wait, maybe there's more to this story. Maybe I do want to pay attention, and maybe I should be watching what's going on. Because if I don't, like, you don't have a choice, right? You can go into gold, but you guys know gold, it's just a pain. Like, I'm not going to go pee with these silver coins. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. They might hold their value, right? But then you have to trade them for something that you can use. And we're going to trade these back for more paper dollars printed out of thin air? I don't think so. You can trade them for Bitcoin, the hardest asset known to man.
Okay, so I want to know which one is your guys' favorite part of the $1.2 trillion spending bill. Is it one, $850,000 for a gay senior citizen home in Massachusetts? Is it two, $15 million for Egyptian college tuitions? Is it three, $400,000 for a group that helps teens hide their gender? Is it four, $500,000 for an anti-racist nature appreciation group at the San Diego Zoo? Or is it number five, $300 million additional?
You guys tell me which is your favorite, folks. How much longer are they going to put up with it? One more? Okay, the next one? I know you guys have seen these over on LFA, but they just keep getting better and better.
I just watched what has to be one of the most horrifying videos I have ever seen on this app regarding our country's financial future. It was posted by a woman named Tiffany. I will link it. She's talking about how private equity firms have been buying up all the single family homes. So up until very recently, we didn't actually have the numbers to say just how many homes they've been buying up. And most politicians across the fucking board, Democrat, Republican, whatever, have been saying, well, they're really only buying like 18% of single family homes. And then economists chimed in and said that if private equity firms are buying up anywhere from 18 to 20 to 23% of single family homes in this country, that by 2030, they would own 60% of all of the homes in America. Well, we just got the final numbers. In 2023, private equity firms purchased 44% of all of the single family homes in America, which means death for our middle class. Our generation will not be homeowners. They will have us permanently renting from like 2 or 3 companies. Now, America has a lot of problems, but this should be a unifying problem that every single person who is not part of one of those private equity firms cares about, including current homeowners. They bought 44% of all of the single family homes in America last year, and they are set up to purchase an even higher percentage of them this year. Unless we have major reform, almost all of the single family homes in this country will be owned by these private equity firms in a very, very short amount of time.
How does that sit with you guys, folks? I don't think we got much longer. I don't think we have much longer at all before every single Gen Zer out there. And we were talking about this morning, right? When that 25% of America already owns Bitcoin. And like we were talking about Jeff Booth, right? So where is that, right? So if you can convince an entire society or civilization, right, that it's okay that you steal 2% of their wealth via inflation, that means that you're stealing from basically 100% of the people in that economy, right? But 25% of Americans already own Bitcoin. And if you're able to convince just 20% to fully withdraw from that corrupt economy, just 20%, that means that $34 trillion in that inflation and all of that debt that the United States has, and the way that they abuse the money printer, the weight of that, like when you can't afford to pay your bills, you can't afford to put food on the table, you can't afford to save any money, right? Then imagine if there was 20% less of us interacting with that corrupt economy. Then that 80% would have to shoulder the entire burden of all that debt and all that bad decisions and all those horrible fiscal monetary decision making. It would implode. If we can just get 20% of people, and to put that into perspective, the MAGA base is 75 million. Gen Z makes up for like another, I think the MAGA base is around 100 million, and Gen Z makes up for 70 million people in the United States. Yeah, and Haynes says China's buying 13% of our homes. Yep. They'll have you in 15-minute cities, young lady. Yep, no doubt. UFO Nut says they are started to identify the problem. Now they have to find the orange solution, 100%. And Haynes says that's in Australia. That's scary, man. Y'all are toast in Australia. I've gotten so many messages from people in the last couple of weeks that are talking about Australia. Some of them have left, some of them plan on leaving, and the ones that have left have said it was the best decision that they've ever made in their life. Yep. Hernando says download Strike and start stacking sats. STFU and chill. Yep. That's it, man. You guys nailed it. All right, folks, it is 10:30. We are way over our timeline over here. I was just hanging out with you guys. Hopefully you guys have a great night, folks. Hopefully this content is helping you guys become more bullish on Bitcoin, because that is the goal. One by one, every time you go into a restaurant, it's so important, right? Like I went out to lunch or dinner with my son, and I know they didn't, right? But the whole point was just to ask, like, do you accept Bitcoin? Do you accept Bitcoin? Every time you go to a store, gas station, anywhere, even if you don't plan on buying with Bitcoin, just start asking them, right? Because as soon as these business owners go, why are so many people all of a sudden asking for Bitcoin? Yeah, Rockabilly says I can get Strike in Cali. There you go. You guys seen Hernando do it? It's a beautiful app. Integrated with Lightning Network, no transaction fees. Or if they are, they're just so minute because they're on Lightning Network, so they're literally like fractions of a penny. That's the way to do it. That is definitely the way to do it. I'm working on getting myself fully onto a Bitcoin standard. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I would love to get my paycheck from LFA just converted right into Bitcoin, and then just say screw you. Get some type of debit card that allows you to spend your Bitcoin, and then boom. Can you get a Strike card, a debit card from Strike, Hernando? To where you can just use your debit card to swipe as you go. Because that would be freaking sweet, man. That would be sweet. Just to get your check deposited 100% in Bitcoin, and then use your debit card. Because once you show somebody that, like, hey, like, you can take your paycheck, convert it immediately into Bitcoin, right? Use a Bitcoin service like Strike, one that is completely anti-government, anti-control, anti-regulations, the whole 9 yards. It's regulated company on the NASDAQ, for $5 to sign up after you deposit. Not that I see. Free, $5 to sign up. $5, that's it. To have access to what I think is one of the greatest applications ever built on top of the Bitcoin network. I think Jack's really done something special at such a young age too. You know, I was so naive and chasing shit coins, and that kid's over there building, you know, protocols that are going to change the world, and change the world it has. So God bless you guys. Hope you guys have a great night. Be safe out there, folks. Swing over there. Follow Hernando RC over on X if you guys get time, and also on Rumble. I believe he's got the Urban Crypto Cowboy channel over on YouTube too. You guys should check him out. He's putting out a lot of great content, just documenting his journey. Later, guys. Be safe out there.
Run.